Hey everyone! Welcome back to the podcast. I'm Emma, and as always, I'm here with Jake. Today we're talking about something that I think a lot of people have really strong feelings about. Childhood heroes. The people we looked up to when we were kids. The ones who made us think, wow, I want to be just like that person someday. Jake, before we even get into it, did you have a childhood hero?
Oh, absolutely. Without a doubt. I was one of those kids who had posters all over my bedroom wall, like floor to ceiling. My mom used to walk in and just shake her head. But yeah, I was very much a hero-obsessed kid. What about you, Emma?
Same, honestly. I had this one person I was completely obsessed with. And we'll get to that in a second. But first, let's just set the scene a little bit. When we say childhood hero, we don't just mean superheroes from movies, right? We mean real people, fictional characters, athletes, musicians, anyone you genuinely admired, anyone who inspired you when you were young.
Exactly. And I think that's what makes this topic so interesting. Everyone's hero is different. Like, your hero tells you a lot about who you were as a kid. And honestly, probably a lot about who you became as an adult, too. There's a real connection there.
That's such a good point. So let's just dive in. Who was your number one childhood hero, Jake? The top of the list.
Okay, so my absolute number one was Michael Jordan, the basketball player. And I know, a lot of people are going to say that. He's probably one of the most common answers ever. But hear me out, because my reasons might be a little different from what you'd expect.
Oh, I love this. Go on, I'm listening.
So I grew up in a small town in England, right? We didn't even have a proper basketball court nearby. I had never played a real game of basketball in my life. But I used to watch old recordings of Michael Jordan's games with my dad, and there was something about the way he carried himself. His composure, that's the word. Composure means staying calm and confident even under pressure. And I just thought, that's how I want to move through life. Not necessarily on a basketball court, but just in general.
That's actually really beautiful. It wasn't even about basketball for you. It was about the attitude.
Exactly. And my dad used to say, Jake, it doesn't matter what you're doing. Do it the way Jordan plays, which, looking back, was actually pretty solid life advice from a man who mostly just wanted an excuse to watch old sports tapes.
That's amazing. Okay, so I have to ask, did you ever try to play basketball because of him?
Oh, of course I did. I convinced my parents to get me a little hoop for the garden. I was maybe 9 years old. I practiced every single day for about 2 weeks. And then I knocked over my mom's favorite plant pot. And that was basically the end of my basketball career.
Rest in peace to the basketball dream. Okay, so mine is a little different. My childhood hero was Amelia Earhart, the aviator. So the pilot, the woman who flew planes in the early 20th century. She was the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic Ocean, which is just extraordinary.
That's a brilliant one. What drew you to her? Because I feel like for a kid, especially a young girl, to latch onto someone from that era, that's pretty unusual, right?
It really is. And honestly, it came from this book my aunt gave me when I was about 7 or 8. It was a children's biography. So a simplified life story of Amelia Earhart. And I remember just being absolutely captivated. That word, captivated, means completely fascinated. Like you can't look away. I read that book probably 4 or 5 times.
4 or 5 times? Okay, so you were really into it.
Obsessed is the word. And what got me was that she didn't fit in. She didn't do what people expected women to do at the time. And she just didn't care. She was going to fly her planes, and that was that. I found that incredibly inspiring as a little kid, even if I didn't fully understand the historical context yet.
It's funny how kids pick up on that energy, isn't it? Like, You didn't need to know all the political history of women's rights in the 1930s to feel that she was doing something bold and brave.
Exactly. Kids are really perceptive. Perceptive means good at noticing and understanding things. They pick up on courage and confidence, even if they can't put the exact words to it yet.
That's so true. And I think that's why heroes matter so much to children. They're kind of like a mirror, right? You see something in that person that you recognize in yourself or that you want to develop in yourself.
Yes. Or sometimes it's the opposite. You see something completely different from yourself and you think, I want to become more like that. Either way, there's this emotional pull. You're drawn to them for a reason.
Totally. And it changes over time, too. Like, I also had different heroes at different stages of growing up. Jordan was the big one, but there were others along the way.
Oh, definitely. Can you tell us about one of those? One of the other heroes from a different phase of your childhood?
Sure. So when I was around 12 or 13, I got really into reading, which my teachers were very surprised about, to be honest. And I became completely hooked on a British author named Roald Dahl. Now, I know technically he was a writer, not a hero in the traditional sense, but I read everything he wrote. And then I found out about his actual life. And the man had lived this wild, adventurous life. He was a fighter pilot, he worked as a spy, he survived a plane crash. I thought, this guy is basically a real-life action hero who also writes books. Incredible.
That's actually fascinating, because Roald Dahl is known to most kids just as the person who wrote Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, or Matilda. But you dug deeper. You went beyond the surface, past the obvious stuff, and found the whole person behind the books.
Yeah, and that felt like a discovery, like I had found a secret. I remember telling my friends about his spy days, and they all thought I was making it up.
No, I promise. The guy who wrote James and the Giant Peach was also a spy.
Exactly. And it's all completely true. He worked for British intelligence during World War II. So, yeah, that kind of expanded my idea of what a hero could be. A hero doesn't have to be an athlete or a leader. A hero can be someone who just lives a really full, interesting life on their own terms.
I love that definition. Living life on your own terms, meaning doing things your own way, according to your own values, not just following what everyone else expects. That's a recurring theme with heroes, isn't it?
It really is. I think that's actually the common thread, the thing that connects most heroes, whether they're athletes, writers, pilots, whatever. They all seem to operate with this strong internal compass. They know what they believe in, and they follow it.
An internal compass. I like that phrase. It means your personal sense of what's right and wrong, what matters to you. It's like a moral guide that lives inside you.
Right. And I think as kids, we're still figuring out our own compass, so we borrow from these people we admire. We kind of hold up their compass temporarily while we're developing our own.
That is genuinely one of the most thoughtful things I've heard you say, Jake.
Don't sound so surprised, Emma.
Sorry. No, I mean it. Okay, let's talk about fictional heroes for a second. Because I think for a lot of kids, their very first hero isn't a real person at all. It's a character from a book or a film or a cartoon.
Oh, 100%. And I think that's completely valid. I mean, fictional characters can represent values and ideas just as powerfully as real people can, sometimes even more powerfully, because they're written to embody those values in a very direct way.
Exactly. Like, think about Hermione Granger from Harry Potter. She's not a real person, but she taught millions of kids that being smart and working hard and standing up for what's right is cool. That's a real impact, even from a fictional character.
Totally. And for boys growing up, I think there's often this pressure to pick athletic heroes, right? The footballer, the basketball player. But a lot of kids secretly have heroes who are more like, I don't know, a wizard or a scientist in a story. And that's equally valid.
Did you have any fictional heroes? Come on, be honest.
Okay, yes, fine. When I was about 6 or 7, my absolute hero was Indiana Jones, which is technically a fictional character, obviously. But I was convinced, absolutely certain, that I was going to grow up to be an archaeologist. I had a little toy whip and everything.
Please tell me you have photos of this.
My mom definitely has photos. They will never see the light of day. But yes, Indiana Jones was a huge deal for me. The adventure, the history, the idea that knowledge could be exciting. I think that actually did shape how I feel about learning things, even now.
See, and that's the point. Even a fictional character had a genuine, lasting effect on you. The hero doesn't have to be real for the impact to be real.
Well said. What about you? Any fictional heroes in the mix?
Yes, actually. Mine was Pippi Longstocking. She's a character from a series of Swedish children's books by Astrid Lindgren. Pippi is this little girl who lives alone, has a horse on her porch, and basically does whatever she wants. She's incredibly strong. Literally, she can lift a horse, and she completely ignores rules she thinks are unfair.
Oh, I can absolutely see why you loved her.
What's that supposed to mean?
Nothing. Just that ignores rules she thinks are unfair sounds very familiar.
Okay, fair enough. But honestly, Pippi taught me that you don't have to be what the world tells you to be. She was unconventional, meaning she didn't follow the usual way of doing things, and she was proud of it. At 6 years old, I found that incredibly freeing.
I think that's something a lot of people can relate to. The heroes we choose as kids often reflect what we're searching for. Like if you felt restricted or told what to do all the time, maybe you gravitated towards someone who was free and independent.
And if you felt like an outsider, maybe your hero was someone who turned being different into a superpower.
Exactly. There's always this psychological element to it, isn't there? Our heroes reveal something about our inner world, our inner life, the thoughts and feelings we carry inside.
Okay, let's shift gears slightly. Change the topic a little and talk about heroes who were family members or people in your personal life. Because not everyone's hero is famous, right?
Absolutely. And in some ways, those are the most powerful ones because they're right there in front of you. You can see them up close, flaws and all.
Did you have someone like that in your life? A personal hero who wasn't famous?
Yes, my granddad, without question. He was this incredibly quiet man. He didn't talk much. He never bragged about anything. But when you watched him, you could tell he had this deep wisdom. That's the right word, wisdom. Not just intelligence, but understanding that comes from experience. He'd lived through some really hard times, and he came out of it with this gentleness that I found remarkable.
That's lovely. What did you learn from him specifically?
Patience, mostly. He was the most patient human being I've ever met. And as a hyperactive kid who wanted everything immediately, watching him take his time with things, fixing things, gardening, having conversations, it was like a completely foreign language to me. But it stuck with me. I think about him when I feel myself getting impatient now.
That's really touching. Mine was my grandmother on my dad's side. She was a nurse for over 30 years, and she worked incredibly hard her whole life. But the thing that made her a hero in my eyes wasn't the career. It was the way she treated people. She had this genuine warmth. She actually cared about the people around her. Not in a showy way. Quietly.
That's so important. And I think as kids, we sense authenticity. We feel when something is real versus performed. Your grandmother clearly had the real thing.
She did. And she always used to tell me, Emma, be useful. Not successful, not rich,
not famous, just useful. That stuck with me in a big way.
Be useful. I love that. It's so simple, but it's actually quite profound, quite deep in meaning. Because being useful means thinking about others, contributing something, not just existing for yourself.
Exactly. And she lived by it completely. Even in her 80s, she was still finding little ways to help the people around her. She was my real-life hero, no question.
It's interesting, isn't it? How the heroes we choose, whether they're famous or not, often share these common qualities. Courage, consistency, kindness, authenticity.
They do. And I think when we admire those qualities in someone else, we're also committing to developing them ourselves. It's like an unconscious promise.
An unconscious promise. I like that. So it's like you're saying to yourself, without necessarily realizing it, I'm going to carry this forward.
Exactly. Let's talk about something slightly more complicated, though. What happens when a childhood hero lets you down? Because that happens too, right? You find out something about a person you admired, and it shatters the image you had of them.
Oh, that's a really important thing to talk about. And yeah, it happens. It happened to me, actually. Not with Jordan specifically, but with another person I looked up to. A musician, actually. And I found out later that he had behaved in some pretty awful ways in his personal life. And I remember feeling genuinely gutted. Really deeply disappointed. Like something had been taken from me.
And that feeling is real and valid. But what do you do with it?
I think you have to separate two things. You can still appreciate what someone contributed, their art, their work, their achievement, while also acknowledging that they were a flawed person. That's a more mature way of seeing it, but it takes time to get there. As a kid, heroes are often all or nothing, perfect or worthless.
Right, because kids tend to think in absolutes. Something is good or bad, a hero or a villain. It takes growing up to realize that most people are somewhere in between, complicated, mixed.
And I actually think going through that disappointment with a hero is part of growing up. It teaches you not to put anyone on an impossibly high pedestal, meaning not to idealize someone so completely that any flaw destroys the whole image.
That's a great phrase, putting someone on a pedestal. It means elevating them, treating them as if they're perfect and above everyone else. And the problem with that is, of course, no one is perfect.
No one is. And when we discover that, it can be really jarring, really surprising and unsettling, especially when it's someone we genuinely looked up to.
But on the flip side, on the other hand, I think it can also open up a healthier relationship with the idea of heroism. Instead of needing your hero to be flawless, you start to appreciate specific qualities, specific things they did well, without needing the whole package to be perfect.
Exactly. You can say, I admire this person's courage, even though they weren't perfect in every area of their life. That's a much more honest way to look at it.
Right. And honestly, in some ways, a hero who struggled and had flaws is more inspiring than someone who seemed effortlessly perfect. Because struggle is relatable. We can see ourselves in it.
100%. Like, if you hear that Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team before he became the greatest player of all time, that story is enormously motivating. It's not despite the struggle. It's because of the struggle.
Yes, the struggle is the story. That's what makes it real.
That should be a poster. The struggle is the story.
I'm putting it on a mug. Okay, let's talk about something fun for a second. Do you think our childhood heroes influenced our career choices? Like, can you trace a direct line between your hero and what you ended up doing with your life?
That's a really interesting question. Let me think about it honestly. I think not directly,
But indirectly, in a roundabout way, yes. Like, Jordan taught me about discipline and preparation. Roald Dahl made me love storytelling. Indiana Jones made me curious about the world. None of those things directly told me what job to have, but they all shaped how I approach things.
I think for me it's clearer. Amelia Earhart made me believe that women can do things that people say they can't. And my grandmother made me want to be useful, to contribute. And I think both of those run through everything I do, including this podcast, actually.
That's beautiful. And I think it shows that heroes can have this slow burn effect, a gradual, long-term influence that you might not even notice until you look back.
Totally. It's not always immediate. Sometimes you don't realize how much someone shaped you until years later.
And sometimes you pick up a quality from a hero as a kid, you carry it around for 20 years, and then one day you're in a situation and you respond in a way that surprises you. And then you realize, oh, that came from somewhere. That's from that person I admired.
Yes. It's like a seed that was planted when you were small, and it just keeps growing quietly.
I love that image. Very Roald Dahl of you, actually.
Thank you, I'll take that. Okay, last thing I want to touch on. Do you think kids today have the same kind of heroes that we had? Or has it changed?
That's a big question. I think it's both the same and different. The same in that kids still look for qualities they admire. Courage, talent, authenticity, but different in terms of where they find those people. Social media has completely changed the landscape. A kid today might have a hero who's a YouTuber or a content creator, someone with millions of followers, but who feels very personal and accessible.
And there's something interesting about that, right? Because the heroes of previous generations, your Jordan, my Earhart, they were somewhat distant. You read about them, you watched them on TV, but there was a gap. Whereas today, a kid's hero might reply to their comment. There's this feeling of closeness.
Which can be really positive. It makes the hero feel more real, more human. But it can also increase the risk of that disappointment we talked about. Because the more access you have to someone, the more likely you are to see the messy parts.
Very true. And I also wonder if kids today have more diverse heroes. Heroes from more backgrounds, more countries, more identities. I think there's a lot more representation now, which means more kids can look at a hero and see themselves.
That's a really important point. And I think representation matters enormously. It means having people who look like you, share your background, reflected in the stories and faces that inspire you. Because it's hard to aspire to something you can't see.
Exactly. You can't be what you can't see. That's the saying. And I think the fact that kids today have access to a much wider range of heroes across gender, race, culture, career is genuinely exciting.
Agreed. I mean, when I was a kid, almost all my heroes were men. And looking back, that limited my sense of what was possible in a subtle way. Like, it shaped what I thought was achievable without me even realizing it.
And for me, growing up, I had to work a bit harder to find female heroes. Amelia Earhart was one. My grandmother was another. But they were sometimes harder to find in books, in movies, in public life. I think kids today, especially girls, have so many more options.
Which is fantastic. Progress. Genuinely.
Okay, Jake, I want to end on a warm note, a positive, feel-good question. If you could go back and meet your childhood hero, any of them, and have one conversation, what would you say?
Oh, wow. Okay. I think I'd go back and meet my granddad, actually. Not a famous person. And I wouldn't say anything clever or profound. I'd just ask him to tell me about his life, his actual life, the full version. Because I was too young and too impatient when he was alive to really listen. And now, I would listen with everything I have.
That's really lovely, Jake.
Thanks. What about you?
I think I'd want to sit with my grandmother and just tell her that her advice worked, that be useful stuck, that I'm trying every day. I think she'd like knowing that.
She'd be really proud. I'm sure of it.
Thank you. Okay, everyone, if you've made it to the end of this episode, I hope it brought back some good memories for you. Think about your own childhood heroes. Write them down if you want. Talk about them with someone. Because those people, real or fictional, famous or personal, they shaped you more than you might realize.
And if you want to practice your English, here's a suggestion. Try telling someone about your childhood hero. Describe who they were, what they did, and why you admired them. Use the words we talked about today. Composure, captivated, authentic, perceptive, wisdom, representation. Slip them into your own story naturally.
That's such a great exercise. All right, that's all for today. Thank you so much for spending this time with us. Take care of yourselves, keep learning, keep looking up to good people, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time, everyone. And remember, the struggle is the story.
It's going on the mug. Bye.